All right, welcome to the Shadow the Script podcast. This is the national championship episode as the college football season has finally concluded. And first things first, gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen, all of the audience, thank you so much. We hit our milestone, 100 subscribers. Thank God. And, you know, one of the things, guys, I know you guys are subscribed to the podcast. Am I right, huh? Turner, Chad? Yeah? You're subscribed? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crickets. Yeah, no. And seriously, though, thanks to the audience, I know I never go on my story and personally ask. Only thing I ever ask of you guys is to go listen to the show. So, you know, to get to 99 subscribers authentically from the audience and to be there like right before, it was at 97 and I posted a last video from the YouTube segments and I looked at it right before the game started. I said, 99? Oh, tonight's the end of the college football season. This is the time to do it. So I just was like, hey, guys, you know, I never asked for anything, but, you know, 100 subscribers was our goal. We're one away if you're seeing this. And like 140 people saw the story. So thank you guys from the bottom of our heart. You know, I talked about it from the beginning. Even getting these guys on the podcast when they weren't contributors, as well as, you know, Jay and other people that have appeared in the past, like kind of getting them a piece of the pie. If we can make something shake out of this network. So we're having a good time. Season 4 is up and coming, gentlemen, which means conference realignment, how to fix college football, how we want to do our salary cap, you know, all those sorts of things, you know, that'll make college football great again, if you will. So before we get started, and I asked you guys some intro questions, if you are a first-time listener, welcome in. If you are this isn't your first time listening, welcome back to the show. You can find us on YouTube if you're watching it here at Shatter the Script. If you're not, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, search at Shatter the Script as well. You'll see the golden logo with the STS logo on it as well. And then TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Shatter the Script or at X STS_pod. Those are all the socials. All the links are in the bios. Go do your thing, gentlemen. Share it with a friend. All right. That's the intro. And that's the episode. See you guys later. No.
Not much to talk about.
He's got jokes today.
Yeah, exactly. So, Turner, Chad, welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming back in. And we got, of course, the national championship to talk about. And Chad, how you doing down there? It's I think it's what has it been 2-3 weeks since we've been on?
Yeah, I've been doing good. Just trying to get in the rhythm of school. And now that I've got my schedule going, I'm ready to get back into action.
That's right when the season ends. And Turner, how you doing, brother?
My busy season's over now, so I think I'm in a be a good spot. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me in the contribution episodes. That's for sure.
And we're all happy for it. And you know that's the thing that I don't think anybody. I think people when they're commenting on our show or TikTok or X or they think that we don't have jobs, that we're just sitting here talking and thinking about what we're going to talk about for an hour on one evening of the week. And so it's like, that's not true. Like we're working till like 5:36, like every day, 9 to 5. This is like a second hobby. So that's why it was such a big deal asking you guys to be a contributor. It's taking time out of your day once a week to come on here for about an hour, talk ball. We love the game so much. We thought we should talk about it on a platform. This is my up and coming 4th year doing this show. And I still haven't spent a dime on how to accelerate the show and things like that. So I'm going to get maybe some into that as I make more money. So, all right, national championship. Not to toot my own horn, I predicted 27-21 Indiana. The final score, 27-21 Indiana. Ba-da-dun-da-dun-dun.
All I'm doing is tooting right now.
Yeah. We're going to talk about our biggest takeaways. We got a couple like hanging fruit questions to answer as well. But we'll start with the first half. And, you know, Turner, you were looking at the stats prior to us starting the recording, and we were just kind of going back, reviewing, and because that was a big emphasis in our group chat when we were talking was the difference between Indiana's control of the football and Miami not having many opportunities to get the ball rolling, quite literally ending up with 0 points in the first half. What did you see from Indiana's dominance and from Miami's lack thereof in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, literally, I don't know why Miami just kind of not lean away, but didn't contribute to the run game as much as they did in prior games against like Ole Miss, against A&M. And you're just kind of shocked to see that, like, dude, you're trying to put, make it a different game plan to put it in Carson Beck's hands. But if we look at it in historical data, putting it in Carson Beck's hands what costed them 2 games in the regular season. 4 interceptions against Louisville, and then an overtime interception against SMU. So realistically, like, why would you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you're just going to run it down their throat, run it down their throat. Dominated time of possession in the game like you've been doing in all the previous other games before. And so when that was happening, I was very confused. We were all just chatting and just being like, what's going on? And Indiana, I was listening to Josh Pate before the episode started, and one thing that he pointed out was... No. All right, I'll see y'all later. One thing that
we love Josh Pate.
Yeah, we love Josh Pate, but we're coming from the crown. Anyway, he was talking about how on every Indiana possession, or for a scoring possession, they had more than 12 plays in each of those possessions. And so you just saw that literally Indiana dominated the time of the possession of the game. And just seeing that in the first half really kind of shined, especially when you held Miami to zilch. So that's just something I saw in the first half. The second half, like, you got to give it up to Miami because, like, I'm sure there is a statistic of showing, like, the difference of total yards in the first half for Miami versus the second half. And it was all Miami, 1,000%, no ifs, ands, or buts. If literally, but again, it all comes down to explosive plays. It comes down to 2 plays specifically for Miami. The game-ending interception by Carson Beck by just chunking it in to say, hope to God, and then that big blocked punt that ended up being a TD. That contributed to a lot of what unfortunately ended the Hail Mary run for Miami, even though realistically it looked like they were the better team. They just, got out-coached. It's kind of how it ends. So, yeah. I mean, congrats to the Hoosiers. I mean, I wasn't really surprised that they won. They had a heck of a season. Congrats to Fernando. I'm sure he'll put it on his LinkedIn that he's a national champion as well. Good for him. And then he'll upload it on YouTube as he's doom scrolling on YouTube Shorts. So,
literally 6'7". Yeah, exactly.
All right, dude.
Well, that's what I'm imagining Fernando doing on YouTube Shorts. Is what I'm adding to that. Chad, your thoughts on the first half and what you saw from the game overall?
Well, honestly, when it first started, I thought it was going to be honestly a blowout. Like, I thought it was going to be 41-21 at the end of the game. And Ryan made a good point when he was texting in the group chat that they're playing at Miami, and then Indiana runs out, and the whole stadium just roars, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be a disaster for Miami. But honestly, I was a little surprised how Miami was doing against Indiana. I honestly thought Indiana was going to go right off the bat and just absolutely knock the crap out of Miami, but they held their ground, and I don't even know if it was like underperformance from Indiana. I just think that Miami was able to get up to their standards or to their level of playing field and sustain that for a good first half. But then, things started to roll into Indiana's favor, and it started to fade away from Miami. And then there was I don't know if y'all saw, there was like a big argument between 2 players at the time, like on the sideline. They were just going at it with one another.
For Miami, or
for Miami, they were going at it. Like they were.
Is that early in the game?
I can't remember, but anyway, either first half or second half, you could just see that their sideline was just sort of giving up a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the things that I thought was interesting was last week we were talking about the game, and Ryan made the point it's going to be pretty entertaining. I can't remember what we all predicted, but through and through for the last 2 weeks, everybody has been consistent with picking Indiana to win this football game, and I just think it's a broken record. We talk about its discipline, its execution, it's the age of the team and how they recruited and assembled these players from James Madison up to different teams within the Big Ten, and the talent acquisition that Kurt Cignetti focused was more so on experience than 4 and 5 stars, which has proven to be maybe a new method for these teams in the Big Ten or in any conference to win some ball games. And as Nick Saban says, you either do things good, you either do things bad, we can do things average, we can do things good, or you great, excellent, elite, and it's up to you. And God wants you to be elite. So it's all about how you practice and how you play and how you prep. And I think Cignetti, that branched off of Saban, and of course I'm paraphrasing, and Nick Saban says it a lot better. But we talked about last week, and I said that it's going to be who's going to win more phases of the game than the other. Because truth be told, as Chad mentioned, both these teams kind of seemed pretty even. I mean, I understand that Indiana dominated time of possession, especially in the first half. They ended up with plus 13 minutes of possession time throughout this football game. But, Miami, it wasn't like they were just happy to be there. They played hard. They played good at the line of scrimmage. They held Hemby to like under 3 yards per carry in the first half and through the third quarter. And you just go down the line. But I didn't think that we were hoping it wasn't going to be a blowout like Chad was predicting, but I didn't think that Miami played awful. I just thought they were severely limited to the opportunities that were given to them, thus getting them, kind of out of whack, because their identity is what exactly Indiana did. So outside of that Fletcher run for 60 yards for a touchdown or so, that dude had 16 carries for probably 60 yards. So they held Fletcher. It's just a matter of that one pop play, a lot like what Oregon had versus Indiana, or no, it was Ole Miss versus Miami with Q and Lacey. So, so when you guys were looking at this from a quarterback perspective, we saw Fernando Mendoza run a lot of RPOs. We saw Carson Beck almost navigate the field and quarterback it not better than Fernando, but I think the hand was forced to Carson Beck to kind of open the playing field up and hit the second level. But Fernando was RPOing Miami to death the entire game. So based on quarterback play, and, Chad, I can start with you. How did you vary the different performances between, Fernando and Carson Beck? And, because Fernando had that one play, his Heisman moment, if you will, on that fourth down quarterback draw. So how did you like the quarterback play from Indiana and Miami?
Mendoza did awesome. And what's funny is you say that about that play is, they were running it up the middle, A gap, maybe C gap a little bit. And I'm like, dude, at some point I literally turned to my dad and said, they got to let Mendoza run. And then they had that quarterback draw and he went in the end zone. I was like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
Like, just let the guy run. They had
Xbox, record that. Somebody get me saying that.
I was like, guys, I swear I said this.
I said it.
But Mendoza did awesome job playing quarterback that game. Like he was reading the field. There were some miss errors. I mean, I really wouldn't even see there were really errors. It was just like, kind of off page with him and the wide receiver. There was one pass where he threw it a little bit too inside on like a corner or something like that. That could have been a touchdown, but I guess the wide receiver lost it, and had he put it a little bit more outside, maybe he could have seen it. But I think Mendoza played great. Now Carson Beck, I think Indiana kind of exposed him into making him uncomfortable and having to pass the ball. Carson Beck is not a pocket player, and I'm kind of can see we can all see that. And when they were able to contain him in the pocket and make him actually throw the ball, he was out of whack. He looked awful. And I think that was kind of like when we said that with A&M and Miami. It was like if Marcel Reed, I think I said it, if Marcel Reed throws 2 picks, like they're not making another touchdown because he's going to go all out of whack. And I think Carson Beck had that moment, like Marcel Reed, where he just couldn't get anything going, and I think it exposed him.
Yeah. And then Turner, what about you with quarterback evaluations, or how would you want to respond to Chad's comments?
Well, you want to talk about a quarterback with grit? Look no further than Fernando Mendoza. I mean, literally, there are so many clips of him getting just donkey stomped bleeding lip everywhere, showing his arm like, "Oh, look what they did to me! Oh my god!" But no, I mean, like literally, I knew that if you just look at the line of scrimmage, I mean, there were times where literally the Indiana O line was making a push in the run game, and then all of a sudden, oh, tackle for loss because the whole O line just got blown up by the D line, and then vice versa. Like Miami's running the ball really well, and they're pushing the D lineman downfield. All of a sudden, there's a break in the gap, and there's a D lineman for a tackle, another tackle for loss. So it was just a back and forth battle between both teams. And the quarterback play, I just knew that if it relied on Carson Beck to throw the football. I mean, I made the comment earlier, like literally, he is the reason that they had the 2 losses essentially because 4 interceptions against Louisville, the game-losing interception against SMU. Like they kind of saw, like, dude, if we get this guy to actually make decisions, then like because all he does is just throw it out to freaking Tony, and he's just a beast and just like a little water bug, just literally goes into.
That's what my dad said too.
Little water bug.
Just goes like 15, 20 yards, and you're just like, I don't even know how he does it. And it's not even like he's not even big. They're just not tackling him, and you're just like, holy smokes! And there's Fletcher, who looks like Derrick Henry, like Ryan said in our group chat. You're just like, he just runs like a freaking mule. And so I just think the difference between quarterbacks is Fernando had more grit. He showed that he had more of the drive and more of the patience to kind of go through his progressions and just like, hey, I just know that if I can get my guys out to make plays, we will have more success in this game than Miami. Versus Miami, like there were times where Carson Beck had times in the pocket for like more than the 4-second mark that a quarterback's supposed to have, and he's still making not very good decisions or not very accurate throws. And so you can just tell that you can tell by the draft stock of who's going over who, and basically this year in the NFL draft.
Yeah. I made the joke that with Carson Beck's touchdown to basically get the game within 3, I was like, Carson Beck just improved his draft stock from undrafted free agent to Mr. Irrelevant, being the last pick of the NFL draft. So, congratulations. So I think you make a really great point with Fernando Mendoza's patience because with how they schematically ran this game, it was everything underneath. It was actually exactly how Miami got to the national championship, was taking throws underneath 5 to 10 yards. I mean, hell, Carson Beck for the first 2 playoff games versus Texas A&M and Ohio State had like 50 or 60 completions for less than 250 yards. So like you're talking dink and dump basically at the line of scrimmage, and throwing quick passes and screens, and a lot of that could have been Texas A&M's pressure off the edge. A lot of that could have been Matt Patricia's defense with Ohio State, and it's all schematically driven to say we're going to control. I sound like a broken record almost every episode of the past 3 or 4 weeks, but it's the right thing to say. Is we're going to control the line of scrimmage. We're going to control time of possession, and we're going to game manage this game with the lead. Carson Beck is going to minimize his mistakes. We're not going to take any deep shots downfield. And I think the difference with Fernando Mendoza and Carson Beck is there is no defense to the perfect pass. And so Fernando is a much more pinpoint accurate thrower than Carson Beck is. And we saw that a lot with Charlie Becker, the wide receiver for Indiana, who I call the white Michael Gallup, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. I mean, a lot of his acrobatic catches on one-on-one coverage with slot fades, 50-50 balls. Charlie Becker came down with quite literally every single one. I believe, actually, I'm looking at it right here. He had 7 targets, but I think his first 3 catches, they were all on important key downs, and he caught the first 3. But all 4 of his catches were fantastic, and I've been saying he muscled his way into the end zone on one of them, but or close to it. I think he stepped out of bounds at the 3 or 4 yard line. But Charlie Becker, man, he's only in his second year of college football. I'm really excited to see his progression. But Fernando Mendoza, that's his throw, the slot fade, whether it be to Surratt, Cooper, or Becker. So back to the patience thing, Fernando, having to RPO your way down the field is a very, very methodical way to get down the field. Like I think we mentioned before the pod that a lot of their drives consisted of like 10 plus plays to score, which takes up time of possession, which controls the clock. I mean, you've got Black with 17 attempts. You got Hemby with 19 attempts. Good Lord. That's exactly what Miami would have wanted to do. So props to Fernando Mendoza. The stats don't poke out at you. I mean, 16 of 27 for 186 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. But hell, I mean, at the same time, you had your Heisman moment running the football on fourth down. You know, that got me vocal when I watched it. I was like, damn. And then on the flip side, Carson Beck's out of his comfort zone, and they're doing the opposite of what they had to do the entire college football playoff was play from behind and throw the football. And that's just not a recipe that Miami wanted to tap into in the biggest stage of college football. So, in terms of, I would say coaching. You know, we look at Curt Cignetti. I looked it up. The average age for Indiana. We've talked about it before, and people always like come after us for this in certain ways because they think that we're knocking Indiana. But Indiana's average age is 23. Miami's is between 20 and 22, from according to the source I looked up. Not sure entirely. He put an approximate in there, so I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is. But Indiana, we've talked about their acquisition of talent and how they got there. Cignetti, in my opinion, played, and of course it's my show, it's my opinion, but Cignetti, I thought, played extremely conservative in comparison to his previous games, other than the fourth down conversion. And Mario Cristobal kind of did the same, but I thought Indiana went away from their identity of kind of being passive-aggressive on fourth downs. They took a lot of punts at midfield or within 4th and 5 or less, and or 4th and 3 and less, I would argue. There were some timeouts and critical moments, but some argue it was great game management, some argue it wasn't. But I thought the difference in this game was the punt block, as we mentioned, but also it was the fourth down decision inside the red zone. But between coaching, Turner, when you were looking at Cristobal and Cignetti, I think these are top 5 coaches in college football. Cristobal, I thought, has had a fantastic last 2 years.
Oh, no doubt.
And you can't really say that Cristobal is like so much far less tier wise, coaching wise in college football. But how did you like the coaching decisions from Indiana versus Miami?
I mean, you want to talk about, Cristobal literally, he took Miami from, I think he had his first season was like a losing season. Then he got him to like 7-5 or something like that. And then obviously he had Cam Ward the prior year, this year prior, and then now it's a national championship. He did that in 4 years. Now, realistically, that's what you want to do with every single coach that you hire. But like, he went out and did the darn thing with literally the team that he wanted the national championship with too. So I think that's also a really cool story to find out. And then Cignetti is just a cold-hearted dog. Like, he's literally watching his team block a punt and get a touchdown. He's just sitting there just mean-mugging the entire time. You're just like, oh my gosh, this guy is just much to show no emotion. He's kind of like Kobe. He's like, job ain't done.
Yeah.
So, and then there's Cristobal. Like, there's that big pass interference call, and he is just wanting to throw his headset across. Like, well, that's part of the saving tree. They really want to throw their headset. And but no, just the difference between those two. Like, you can't really dog on either of them. I don't really think anybody did anything bad. I just think it literally just came down to explosive plays that shouldn't have occurred with that block punt and that fourth down conversion for a touchdown for Indiana. And then that last minute, like I said, that last minute interception with Carson Beck. I feel like those are plays that if you just eliminate those, it's a different ball game. You kind of really think about, like, holy smokes, what if Indiana got, with that QB draw, what if they got tackled at the fourth down as a turnover on downs? What if that punt wasn't blocked? What if Carson Beck actually played conservative instead of just throwing it downfield? And, like, there's a lot of things you could have done, but that's more of a player standpoint, not really a coaching standpoint, I feel like. And so realistically, you got to give hats off to both. I think Cignetti has a bright future, especially with only being his second-year head coach in Indiana. Google him. He wins.
Yeah, exactly. Chad, your thoughts on the coaches, as well as, you can add on to the comments on that, but also, what you think is next for Carson Beck.
Well, what's next for Carson Beck is hopefully LinkedIn. Hopefully he's done playing football. I'm tired of watching Sid the Sloth play football. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But,
Nice.
leprosy.
Leprosy.
Diego Poo. He's such a
The
sweetheart.
other L word.
The last dandelion.
It's a boy. That's its tail. Back to shattering the script. When you were talking about it, Turner, like I totally agree. To have Cristobal go in there in 4 years and go to a Natty, like that's awesome. And then I'll go back to you, Jared, when you said that Indiana was playing, very conservative, and I totally agree. I feel like that there was no. In my opinion, I don't really feel like they really took any shots. Like even if they got to 2nd and 5, I feel like they were just like, let's just play the first down, play the first down, play the first down. And I think that's a great mindset, especially playing in a national championship. But yeah, I don't think there was really any sort of aggression or taking shots, and it was a big call on that 4th down. Well, it honestly surprised me when it was 24-21, and it was 4th and 5. They had already gone for one or two other 4th and 5s. I thought they were going to go for it again and get the touchdown and really just end this game.
Yeah.
But they just decided to run out the clock, call the timeout, and kick a field goal, or run the ball, call a timeout, and kick a field goal. And
Yeah.
Signetti to be able, I got to give him a lot of credit because he has taken however many 3 stars. And, I don't really ever, it's really the only time you'll ever hear me talk about stars. Like, I don't really think they're good classifications for players.
I agree. That's a good point.
But to get, what people define as lower level players, 3 stars. I mean, Mendoza was a 2-star. Mm-hmm. And to take them all to a national championship and win it all, like that's pretty dang awesome. And for Cristobal too, to have, taken over a program that, that historically has been like, the rough edge, like the mean kind of Hurricane history, and to take them to a Natty, and come close is also incredible too. So, I tip my hats to both coaches because they've done an awesome job this year. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what they do next year, especially with Carson Beck gone and Mendoza gone, but, in Indiana getting some players back as well. And, I mean, I think Mark Fletcher's coming back to Miami as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And the identification of players or the classification of players of 3 stars versus 5 stars is that's a question that nobody really asked that I would love to dive into in the offseason is who's determining the stars? Is it AI? Is it a college scout that, sees somebody playing at a local high school and breaks off an 80-yard touchdown and goes 5-star, that guy right there, and so I don't really know how that's classified. I would actually love to dive into that a lot more. I think another intriguing angle, and this is, I guess, we've covered most of the national championship, and we can dive back into if we miss anything with comments or concerns. But we were looking at Alberto Mendoza entering the transfer portal, and so Jacob posed the question. I did the same publicly on X and got politely corrected by half a dozen people. Was how is it possible for these guys to enter the transfer portal? Or therefore commit after the deadline had been announced. And, X in their kind ways was telling me, and I looked this up, but they were telling me in such kind words that, hey, you can enter up until the 16th of January, and then you have 2, 3, 4 weeks afterwards to find a spot. And then I knew about this part, but there's an extended window for teams that make the college football playoff and get to the semifinals or the national championship between January 20th and the 24th. So, here in a day or two, or 2 or 3 days, by the end of the week, the opportunities to enter the transfer portal have therefore ended. So, and that the reason I raised that question was because I saw a Kansas State running back enter the transfer or commit to a school after the 16th, and I was like, wait a minute, I saw Josh Pate talk about this, but how there's like 2,000 FBS transfer portal players that still haven't signed a team, and the portal ends tomorrow. And so I'm like, oh, he's talking about a doomsday scenario. So I figured he knows his stuff. Well, he didn't know either. So it's been very chaotic. So going into the transfer portal with Alberto Mendoza, who just committed to Georgia Tech, that's an issue that I think we haven't gotten y'all's opinion on it, but that's an issue I think we need to tackle a lot of in the offseason, because next year's championship is January 25th rather than the 16th or what was it, 19th? Yeah. So that'll be interesting. But I kind of want to get y'all's thoughts on the transfer portal, if you guys have understood it completely or majority of the way have understood it so far. And Turner, I can start with you, talking about your thoughts of the transfer portal this year.
I mean, you talk about, like, do we understand it? Dude, no. We don't understand it. We don't even know what's going on half the time. I mean, you literally just talked about, teams that have been to the semifinals and going to the college football playoff have an extended period. What about the Oregon running backs that entered the transfer portal before even the game even started for their game?
Right.
So what does that even mean? So I don't even know, what the standards are, what that even means. I mean, there was that Duke quarterback that had a drama about let's get him to Miami. And they're like, we have 2 days to go find a quarterback. Well, now they have an extended period. I don't know I don't know anything. I am a casual fan at this point, at this standpoint, apparently.
Yeah, when it comes to the transfer portal, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. One thing that I do, I wish it was not during that window, but unfortunately, I think Nick Saban brought it as a good point, is that, it comes as the academic calendar, right? So obviously schools start more in the early second week of January, and so typically that's when you got to get enrolled into the colleges. And so I don't know if they really have that grace period, especially for student athletes. So typically, hey, we got to make sure that they're enrolled in classes. That way, they meet NCAA standards. They're hey, if they need the 2.0, 2.5. Chad, you can correct me if I'm wrong with the NCAA standards for GPA, but that way they're not missing too much classes in order for them to make midterms and have enough time to study, all this other jazz. But realistically, I think they need to move that portal window to summer, because at the same time, you're we don't have them to spring training. We don't even know you've had the team in the winter. So who when does it even matter when you have a team or not? You probably don't even have a team during the freaking what do you call it, conference championship. Just the timing of everything that goes on there. Because realistically, if you move it to the summer, you have summer classes, you have summer workouts, you kind of get a gist of, you already have film on a lot of the guys that transfer, especially if they were players, so you kind of see how they play. And then you start fall camp about a month before the season starts. You kind of have to do a who's who already. And so I just think that moving the transfer portal from winter to maybe late May, or at the end of the very end of the semester for a lot of the colleges, open that up, give them 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and then boom. Once you have that 2 to 3 week window, they have a week to start the summer courses, and then just go from there. Because right now it's just too rampant, too ridiculous. They need to modernize it, get it standardized from, at every single standpoint, because it is just free willy at this point.
Yeah. And Chad, when you were in your last year at SFA, I remember NIL had become a thing either within your last year or your last 2 years. But I don't believe the transfer portal was as rampant as it is today when you were, playing on the field. Was it as serious as it is now, or as chaotic as it is now, or back when you were playing? Was it a little bit more calmed down? And did you have any experiences with the transfer portal at the FCS level?
Yeah. I definitely had experiences at the transfer portal. It definitely wasn't as whack as it is now. It was, honestly, it was more we had our true group for a very long time, 2019 to about 2022, we had our true group, and we went on to play the FCS playoffs against Incarnate Word and Cam Ward, and then 2022 we're still with the same group. Maybe a couple guys transferred just because they weren't getting playing time, and then we go and win the conference championship there, and then that next year, our coach put us in the room and he's like, "Hey, NIL is becoming a thing," and and he was telling them we had to go through all this kind of crap and stuff like that. But that's when things started really going, because we had UNT running back, we had a Texas Tech wide receiver, we got SFA just got they got a Baylor running back, and with money going out now, like there's no rule, like Turner was saying, there's no rules anymore. It's like I could, if I wanted to, go coach at Duke, I can go talk to an LSU quarterback with no consequences.
Yeah, the tampering.
Yeah. It's like, can we crack down on this so that way they actually have to wait until, because it's kind of like, I see it as you're committed to a school. I could have transferred, but I decided not to. I want to stay committed to SFA because I'd been there for 4 years. And I see, going to a school, you commit there because you see what they have, the program, the culture they're building, and you like it. Let's go do it. I'm going to go fight and give it all to them. Now, and then you have a coach that gets fired, or something happens. That's fine. Transfer. That's kind of your freebie, and I totally get it because you were so embedded with that guy, you liked him, but to just be able to just talk to somebody else and then just to get up and go, like there's got to be consequences to this, and to like there's nothing I've ever seen before, and the numbers you tell saying there's that many people in the transfer portal, like good gracious, like
yeah.
I guarantee, like it's unbelievable how many people are in the transfer portal right now, and somebody's got to do something and think of it fast.
Somebody better do something and think of it fast.
But honestly, I will never. I don't think I'll ever understand the transfer portal, like ever, until law is put into place, like figure of speech.
We don't need more government in here. No,
no, I don't want government.
No,
well, that's the issue. I think that's the issue. I know it's funny to put it that way, but Ronald Reagan always says when the government is here to help, that's when you should start asking questions and freak out a little bit. And the government's only one thing is for sure about the government is they take forever to do anything. So to have some executive order, we're going to be focusing on the Army and Navy game because Donald Trump has an executive order for a 4-hour window with Army and Navy. And it's like, that's cool, whatever. They already have their own week. Nobody else is really playing that weekend. So, there's already an exclusive window in terms of, like, this is the Army-Navy week before we get into whether it is the conference championship or whatever it is the week afterwards. So in terms of the transfer portal, with the tampering, the Duke quarterback that Turner mentioned, Duke is suing the quarterback. And I think the problem lies within the agency. The agencies here, and people have talked about this. Anybody can put agent on their bio and go out there and consult an 18 to 20 or 22-year-old college kid on where to go, what coach to follow, or what money you might be able to obtain. And it's just completely fabricated and false information with no creditable resources. And so that's a major, major problem. I think that's why there's been such an influence on, without all the rules and regulations and the lawlessness within the transfer portal, to basically encourage these kids who can't make decisions for themselves. We've been 18 to 21 years old before. We don't really know what the hell's going on, especially with NIL. I've talked to parents when it first came out through work and stuff like that. This guy's a 6'5", labeled as a 4-star guy out of Anderson Shiro, some tackle, and they're giving him all this money for NIL, and the parents are freaking out, going, I don't know what to do with my kid with $850,000. Like, what's the best deal? I don't know if he's going to play there. This, that, and the other. And so I think there's a real worry with the parents, and the agents don't give a flying shit because they're representing themselves almost like an individual streamer. Like it's like the streamers of college of athletics. College athletics is what it is. It's like these guys are going to go in and they're going to tell you that a video game is good or not because they had a bad experience or a good experience, and the agents are doing the exact same thing, going, well, we're individual guys out here. We want to make our bang of the buck. We're going to represent this 4-star and that 5-star because, well, I don't know, the high school is 5 yards down the street and I've been selling weed for the past 6 weeks. So maybe I could put agent on my bio on Twitter. I like to comment on there about the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I'll represent this kid and tell him we can get $3.5 million at LSU when, in fact, there was no effing deal from LSU. So that's the big issue with the transfer portal, in my opinion, and where it all kind of – there's layers, obviously. There's about a dozen layers. But I think that's where it kind of all stimulates from is it's lawless, and these agents are the primary issue. So, I mean, who the hell are they? When are you going to – like, when you look at the NFL, you know people's agents. When Micah Parsons was negotiating his deal with Jerry Jones, people knew the agent's name. They had the agent on ESPN talking about it, the translation, who the agent – you can look it up on Google, who the agent represents, who he used to represent, the historical data. With agents in college football transfer portal, there's none of that. There's zero of that. And so, and these kids are just taken upon, they can't trust their parents because their parents have never experienced before. They're all guinea pigs. So,
well, look at Nico Imaliava. His dad was just like, oh, hey, I think we get more money somewhere else instead of Tennessee, when he was already getting paid like the $4 million there. Then he went to go to the transfer portal, and then he ended up at UCLA and got like a huge pay cut. And even, like you said, even the parents don't even know what to do with the money.
He lost $1 million transferring to UCLA.
Yeah, you're just like, dude, like to have the parents represent you when the parents doesn't even know like one, financial literacy, what to do with the money that you have when you have it, and this financial situation you're currently in. You're looking at the market, like you really need a higher professional for it. In all reality, do you really think there's going to be a higher professional for as many as the college athletes that are in the transfer portal now versus the NFL? No, you're going to focus on the NFL because that's where the money is, and they're going to get paid for it. At the same time, like when you have representation like that in the college level, they're going to want a stake of the money they're getting too. And a lot of the college kids are like, well, no, it's my money. It's just could be a whole lot of things that's just I don't understand it. I don't get it. So I just wanted to put that comment out there. It's just I thought that was interesting.
And then they got NIL in high school. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Nope, didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
Texas. I just looked it up.
I had no idea.
Texas has it was anybody younger than 16 can't sign an NIL deal with anybody, and then they can't receive the money until they graduate or enroll into that school. So LSU can go to, Guyer and offer the next quarterback there $3 million, and he can accept. From what I'm reading, he can accept it at 17, but he can't receive the money until he's graduated.
And at LSU campus?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Go ahead, Turner.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't even know how to, like. There's kids in high school getting this kind of money too. Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, it's like in Texas. It was. Yeah. I was just reading it. It was. Athletes can sign NIL deals for now, but generally cannot receive the compensation until they graduate or enroll in college. Thanks to UIL rules and state law. It really doesn't say anything. UIL allows students or older to sign NIL deals with post-secondary institutions, colleges, but they cannot receive funds until they're in college.
That's crazy. And, I'm looking it up here as we're going along, just about, is there, in the NFL, there's a players union. And so the players union is categorized by position. Mm-hmm. So there's a running back, there's a quarterback, and all that kind of stuff. And this is what determines the market. It's also helped by certified NFLPA authorized agents who are now eligible to represent college football players, from what I'm reading. But the running back players union this past 2 years or whatever, I remember when Tony Pollard or something like that was about to get paid, they always say projected 12 million or whatever number it is. And that's because the NFLPA and the players union within that position they have estimated that this is what their market price is. It's like meat. It's like a meat market. The market price for a quarterback who's MVP caliber, made it to the playoffs, has a winning record, and it's his first contract extension, 4 years, $60 million. It's like, okay, yeah, we're getting about, or probably way more than that. 4 years, whatever's $50 million a year, so
15.
$200 million. Yeah. So 4 years, $200 million, so $50 million a year. It's okay. That's the baseline for a quarterback is $50 million or more because that's the market price. Running back's the same thing. So, but this categorizes them according to, wait for it, a salary cap. A salary cap is negotiated. The NFL is one of the only professional leagues that utilizes the salary cap and shares the revenue, I believe. So, like the MLB doesn't have it. That's going to be a disaster. The MLB is going to be a disaster. If you look at the payroll, they're going to be pushing for a salary cap because they just paid Kyle Tucker like $70 million a year. The Dodgers, they acquire everybody. If it's not the Dodgers, then it's the Yankees. Well, there's no salary cap in baseball. So the Dodgers spent more on 2 players than 10 other MLB teams spent on their entire roster for the year. 2 players. That's insane. So, that's a lot like college football. Who's going to be except there's a regulation on how much a budget is, $22 million. It's not even counting third parties. You see how complex this is getting? So the college football needs a salary cap, and I think the salary caps and the contracts need to be according to the academic calendar. Therefore, what Ryan said, there's got to be some loyalty involved. You can't go to 4 different schools in 4 years like TJ Finley, like we always joke about. You can't do that.
That's our boy.
So exactly. So it needs to be red shirt needs to be re-identified into your rookie contract, your freshman contract, to where, if you're going to red shirt, you have to stay until your freshman year, whatever. And it's all categorized by academic eligibility. When you are classified as a sophomore, you're able to transfer. When you're classified as a junior, you're able to transfer. And then you're renegotiating your deals, and you're obligated to stay within a certain time frame. And what does that coincide with? What Turner said, the summer. The summer is probably the perfect time to do maybe even a second window for the transfer portal for guys that are there needs to be an eligibility in the winter, an eligibility in the summer, and eligibility late in the winter. Winter and summer. That's it.
Yeah.
God, that's so complicated.
Late in the winter, early in the winter.
Just to go back to that high school thing, it says Texas high school athletes can secure the NIL future. I've already said this, but they can't receive it. Unlike some other states where immediate compensation might be possible. So a kid in high school might be able to get this is other than Texas, that they might be able to receive that money without actually going to college.
So probably the liberal states.
Probably California.
Too soon?
Yeah, the North.
And I don't want to hold us up from going to other stuff, but like, I've said this so many times. Where did the rule go where if you transfer, you sit out a year?
You never said that.
Consequence. Like, where did that go? Like, our brother Austin had to do it. Like, where did that rule go? Like, just out the door? Boom, just throw it?
Yeah,
well,
I don't know.
I think what they were trying to do is... Nope, I actually don't know why they do that.
Okay, here we go. So the original rule requiring a transfer student athlete to sit out a year of competition has been eliminated in college football due to the U.S. District Court injunction in December of 2023. It temporarily blocked its enforcement, and the NCAA officially approved legislation in April 2024 to permanently remove the sit-out requirement for academically eligible athletes.
So and then there's a bunch. Academic eligible.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So there's a ton in here.
Just to let you know, Turner, when you said that the eligibility thing was like 2.4, I think it was 2 last I remember. when I was in college. It was 2.
It was 2. Oh, like how many times you can transfer?
No, like how many? Like your GPA to stay eligible in football
it
was
was
2.0.
So
Holy smokes! Get a load of this. So there's a timeline here. It started in 2021, and laws are the government and the NCAA are going back and forth on, hey, how we want to do this. There's a one-time transfer exception in 2021. In 2023, there's a federal lawsuit and subsequent preliminary injunction, whatever the hell that means, enforcing the sit-out rule. But then in May of 2024, a settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice and a coalition of states made the policy change permanent and required the NCAA to restore a year of eligibility for athletes who previously missed a year due to the old rules. This is where you get your seventh-year guys. COVID, this rule, their one-time transfer exceptions, all this kind of. This is where it comes from. It came from the government. So
Austin technically has 1 more year.
If he was grandfathered into that thing and he wanted to transfer another time to be, a 32-year-old quarterback in college football, however old your oldest brother is, like, dude,
run it back.
you could do it.
Yeah.
Technically, if you're looking at it from
Drew Mestamaker's record, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So if you take a guy like me, for example, like I'd redshirted my freshman year in college baseball, and then I stopped after fall season. I never entered the spring. So I could have kept playing, D3, whatever. I was like, I'll stick with the D1 and we'll retire. But kidding. But technically, I would have redshirt freshman year, redshirt sophomore year, redshirt junior, redshirt senior, COVID, opt out for transfer for eligibility exception, and then maybe another year for medical. I could play for that'd be a total of 8 years eligibility.
And you make no money.
And I would make zero money because I'm completely uninterested.
Because he's D3.
Yeah.
Well, technically, I still could have played this year. This past year we just had, I technically could have played. So I had the 2023 year, and then I had 1 more year after that. I literally had another year.
Well, hold on.
And
Can you also... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I had missed a game. I had missed a certain amount of games because of my Achilles that I could have appealed medically for that year and had won that appeal to have another year.
So technically, is there a grad transfer year still? So could you also do an 8-year?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
If you wanted to go for your master's program? Is that still a rule?
Turner, we're running it back, baby.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, Jared becomes the first player in college athletics NIL history to play 8 years of college football without accumulating a single penny.
Well, swinging the bat in an official game.
Isn't his response? I do this shit for the love of the game. I don't need to get paid. Okay, so is there a grad transfer rule still? No. The specific rule that required graduate transfers or any multi-time transfers to sit out a year has been eliminated. But if the government comes back in, they can fix that for you, Chad.
Yeah.
You can go back.
They seem to fix everything.
Yeah, that's what's funny is all of this is related to how the government interacted with the NCAA. So, the government is what did this. And it's not, now we sound like an anti-government podcast, but I mean, technically, if you are, we don't really
look at
like
us.
government. Yeah, look at us. I mean, we're pretty much as
Take a quick
anti-government as it
scan.
gets. Yeah, exactly.
I have a deer hanging over my head right now.
I have a cross in my freaking chest. Read them and weep.
Yeah.
You read my shirt? It says Christ
There's
is King.
6 Bibles on my bedstand right there.
I'm wearing a Christian camp shirt.
I'm wearing a cultist hat.
Well, I mean, I'm wearing a liberal school, so like I could probably can't get away with that, but
At least it's Texas.
You're right.
Boo. Yeah. Anyway, dude, that's wild. And so that's one of the things I think leading up into season 4. We're going to be talking a lot about things like this, doing a multi-part series. We're going to dissect the transfer portal. We're going to go in. Everybody's going to do their own research, and we're going to debunk the mainstream or debunk the government in this case of transfer portal rules. transfer portal regulations, how to fix the transfer portal. And then on top of that, the fun stuff, conference realignment, how we're going to fix the schedule. Are we going to have Army, Navy in week 0? Are they going to have their exclusive window? Is that to kick off the year? Are the bowl games going to be at the beginning of the year or the end of the year? Are we going to do a 16-team playoff or a 24? Are we going to stick with the 12? Who's going to be eligible to get? Are there going to be auto bids? I mean, all these questions that you guys continuously have answers for, we plan and aim and will answer those before August. And that's going to be how we fill up our time with no football until August. We're just going to obsess over these rules and regulations and how it's it's a crap fire shoot. So last question, and then we can wrap this up. I don't know why I just went full commentator mode. Last question is there are speculations that college football will and potentially move to a 16-team, therefore going to be a 24-team college football playoff format. Chad, and I'll start with you on this because I know that the FCS, I believe, is a 24-team format where the first 8 teams get a first-round bye. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. But what are your opinions on, staying at 12 or moving to 24? Because here's the thing. If you move to 16, that just means you're going to move to 24. So what do you think?
Yeah, we might be doing a November Madness. I don't know. We're going to have 64. Everybody in college football is going to be playing in this tournament at this point.
All FBS teams are eligible.
Oh, God.
Grambling State's a national champion. Yeah.
Well, FCS does. Yeah, you're right. That they do an 8-team bye week first round, but it's not based on rank. It's based on conference rank. Mm-hmm. So, SFA was ranked, I think, 17th, and they got a first round bye, and and then there was other teams that weren't ranked and made the playoffs. So it was more. I don't know this rules specifically, but from what I was getting and from playing in it, it was more like if you were 8-3 or higher, you made it, or if you had notable wins and you were 8-3, you made it. We beat Eastern Kentucky and they were ranked 12th, and then we beat another ranked team. I think they were 9 or something like that, and we were 8-3 and we made the playoffs. And so, FCS has got it down. Y'all need to learn from us, apparently.
That's what people are saying. They're saying they're just going to take it from y'all's book and do the 24
honestly,
team.
I'd be down for it. I mean, I love watching FCS playoffs. They have it. They have it right. They have everything down to a T, in my opinion.
That's what makes the conference realignment Excel sheet that I made so relevant, because it was a Power 7 format with the Mountain West, or 2 other divisions that are large, like G5 schools that were super large. So it's you just take the winner of the G5 tournament or something, maybe implement them as the 8th seed. Yeah. But it's the perfect format.
See, and that gets rid of the G5 stuff, in my opinion, because if you have, you take your best, at this point it's probably going to be your best 4 or 5 SEC teams, and then your best 4 or 5 Big Ten teams, and I swear on everything, if ACC gets into it, I'm going to be mad. I would rather have the Big 12 over, ACC. I'd rather have Pac-12 over ACC. I can't.
Okay, dude.
That's Oregon State, baby.
That is slander. Don't need to belong. All right.
Hey, I'm all for Washington State and Oregon State. All right, a shared conference champions, baby.
Well, there's a new Pac-12.
Now. I sure hope. They are.
Yeah, they have Fresno State.
Worse.
And that's all I got.
That's all I got.
They updated it to 3. No,
there's 3 teams.
2 to 3. But it'll probably be more just Power 4 teams, and that'll be way better than throwing Tulane against Ole Miss and James Madison against Oregon. And I'll give it to James Madison. They sort of put it on there after Oregon being with their third strings in, but I just think that'll be a lot better. To be honest, I'm not for it. I'm not for the 16 teams. I think we need to stop. But if it gets to that point, they need to listen to the FCS.
I think you're right. I think
I'm gonna have
no
to,
one's in support of it.
I'm gonna have to straight up disagree. Like I'm just gonna don't jump right in. I just straight up disagree with Chad.
Well, I think he's right about one thing, real quick, is just that if you're going to do it, you got to follow the FCS. You got to do it like they do, because there's zero complaints with the FCS as far as I know. But are we in support of a 24 team? No, period.
I just the only reason why they're not getting the complaints is because they're not as a nationally, like what's the word I'm looking for? Not on a platform like the FBS. I hate saying that. I know that's probably mean, but like that's just being realistic. Chad, you can see, you literally have the up on me. You have played, I have not. Next question. But no, I just think you got to go 16. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the last two CFP playoffs that we have with the 12 team, the first round buys are 1-7. So literally the first round buys, like, kick them out. Like they don't even do anything. And if you look at, let's say, James Madison to Oregon, obviously Oregon was a better team. And then you look at Texas Tech, who had a first round bye, scored 0 points. And then what would have been Oregon, beat the crap out of Texas Tech, then beat the dog crap out of them by Indiana. So it's just kind of like if you go up this list, there's tiers of teams that are just night and day difference. Like there's no point in having like the 24 teams, because you'd be like, okay, I have the G5s teams. I have freaking Virginia in there. Oh, I have freaking UNT in there. Like, I understand that like you want to give these teams a chance, but realistically, they're just not good enough. Like, I hate to say that, and that's why they're obviously upping the conference games. The conference games matter, and obviously they're going to have 3 games where literally it's just like it doesn't really matter. But you got to understand, like, strength of schedule has to matter, because it really shows what the team is able to do throughout the regular season, and if they actually belong there. I mean, look at I don't even think Notre Dame would have get past the first round, if I'm being honest with you.
I have to agree with Turner.
Yeah, so it's just like literally, I think the 60. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You finish what you're saying.
No. You said no. I was just gonna say that like literally the 16-team playoff, you can have the group of 5 teams in there now, and then now you can have literally the Whining Irish in there too now. So that's just it's the best of both worlds now.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I agree with Turner in that FCS does a good job up to the conference part. When it comes to like we and like it being 8-4, it's like 8-4 UNT being in the freaking 16, because they did good in their conference. I get that. I think, but then it starts coming to the questions like what the heck you do with the G5. You're just like what do you do with them? And then it's like you do Power 4. It's almost like you throw. I always thought this idea of when people brought it up with the NFL and the XFL, it was like if the XFL champion won, they should flip with the worst team in the NFL until that NFL previous to that XFL goes NFL and that NFL goes XFL. You do that
just
with
keep flipping in and out.
You do that with FCS. And maybe they'll start getting revenue. I don't know, and that form. But I agree with Turner on that part, because you don't want to have just conference games and then you got Fresno State winning the Pac-12 playing Ole Miss. You don't want that. Like FCS, it's really like everybody can play with everybody, because a lot of people will have the same sort of revenue.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Unless you're North
financial
Dakota State.
platform.
Yeah, like everybody can play with everybody. Like I think SFA put up at the SFA played pretty good against Montana State in my opinion. And Illinois State, who was made history and won and was like pretty much the biggest underdog in the playoffs and got to the national championship. And everybody can play everybody at that point. But I agree with Turner that if we're gonna do that, we need to figure out a way to not have those kind of G5 schools in there. And I'm not giving crap to G5 schools. I think they're great, And Eric Morse at UNT showed that you could do great things at a G5 school like UNT, but it's just
for a
the
time.
competition. Yeah, for a time, the competition level is just totally different, and I agree with Turn on that part.
Yeah, but now you got to think about, okay, now does Group of 5 need their own?
Yeah, no, it's like what the heck you do with G5?
Well, that's where, and I keep bringing up the Excel sheet that I have that we're going to be laying out in the off
the
season.
sheet.
Yeah, but like, just share your screen.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah. Well, like the way I have the two largest G5 conferences all aligned into one big like Group A and Group B, into which they're already playing a different sport. They're playing a different sport, scholarship wise, financially, NIL, budget wise, all of that, and they're not going to be able to. The revenue sharing isn't ever going to be all the way up to that $22 million budget. So Group 5 has to play their own. It's the hand has been forced. It's JUCO, FCS, and Group of 5, and then it goes your Pac-12s and your Mountain West, or I guess those are Group 5s. And then it goes your Power 6. But the way that the 16-team playoff is suggested is that the Power 4 conference championship winners get auto bids. They're not first-round buys. There are no buys. And then the next are just at large. So, if a G5 school happened to be top 16, which I think this year there might have been one.
There wasn't any.
I don't even think there was. Yeah, I was like James Madison, I think, was the highest.
They're like 23.
Yeah.
But they won their
so, I mean, like,
I
they wouldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
So JMU, North Texas, Tulane, none of those teams would have made it. It would have been your Texas, your BYU, your Notre Dame, your all these different cats where you watched them in the bowl games going, man, they look damn good. Like Texas looked really good against Michigan, and Michigan looked decent against this or whatever. And so or Houston beat the hell out of LSU. So I wonder what they would have been able to do against, winning a playoff game or two. So that's how it would have gone, is 1 versus number 16, which I think would have been Virginia this year. So that's interesting to say the least. But going to 24, my biggest problem with it and why I majorly disagree with even expanding past 12 is it creates the incentive of like the NBA where you rest your players and you can save your opportunities for the end of the season because, well, we can go 8-4 and still make it into the top 24 because, well, we're Penn State. So if we go 8-4, yeah, we're going to be top 25. You bet your bottom dollar. And you're like, yeah, okay. So if our quarterback gets hurt for a week or two, we're not playing hard that game. The incentive to go undefeated or 11-1 or win your conference championship, you don't need it anymore. So that's my biggest complaint with a 24 team or even a 16 team playoff is it just creates this a less of incentive to be excellent, to be great, to be elite at what you do as a program, and it kind of advocates for mediocrity. Well, golly, mediocrity.
Lord
So
have mercy on
you know
my
what I'm
soul.
trying to say. It advocates for mediocrity.
That really
So-
hurt me, like literally listening to you do that.
I'm
And,
sorry,
like, I'm here to correct you this time, which is good.
and I'm sorry.
What
do you want from me? You want me to say it again?
I want you to be great, not strive for mediocrity.
Yeah, advocate.
Whatever, suck my ass.
How do you remove him? Yeah,
Now, do we think salary
ban
caps?
him. Ban him from the stream.
Get him out. What are you
Yeah,
going to say,
sure.
Chad, before you're really interrupted by Jared?
It's all right. He's the host. He can do whatever he wants. Now, do we think salary caps would work?
Yes,
I would think so.
yes, they would, and it's what's needed. And like I'm saying earlier, you got 1,000 certified NFLPA agents that are eligible for the college football platform. It makes all the sense in the world just to make it the NFLPA and the players union and to just make a salary cap. And so running backs make an estimated this amount per revenue share and call it a day. Like, I think that's the simplest way to do it is, and your salary cap is based on the fiscal academic year, and it only readjusts every summer to when the last available transfer portal pot is available, or you can do it in January. It doesn't matter. That might be when because it usually increases every year. Revenue always increases with these universities, so I think it's like 6% every year. So you do this, you get a salary cap, and it increases every 6% every year, and the new salary cap is announced, I don't know, February 1st. Then you can appropriate your budgets and re-sign players and give them extensions. And then the players can decide, I want to sign for 1 year, I want to sign for 2 years, 3, 4, however you want to do it. That's my opinion. Turner, what do you think?
I mean, that's kind of where I was going with it too. If you can have a salary cap, might as well include contracts in that too. Because if you just don't have any loyalty with the contract, like now you have now do you talk about trades? Like now we keep going down this little rabbit hole. Like, oh, transfer portal. Okay, if you want my guy, I want maybe another player. Maybe like I want y'all to take over the contract and reimburse me for the money that we paid him for him not to be able to play.
Oh my God. Get this. Okay, oh my gosh, that's an angle I don't think anybody's talked about is trading within college football with salary caps and you're obligating contracts. But think about it. There are no draft picks for compensation. What do you substitute as draft picks? High school recruits.
Oh,
I'll give you 2 5-stars, one from Georgia, one from California for your top sophomore.
Well, then there's no point in having a whole signing day. You're not even going to be with the team.
Yeah, exactly, because then it's taken away from the player, the high schooler.
You should the high.
You didn't think that through.
I'm just an option.
Hey, hold on. But you got to think. If you're doing contracts, then you're encouraging trades.
Yeah, but that's the rabbit hole we're going down at this point. We're turning into a junior NFL, essentially.
Yeah.
There's just no regulation. That's what it needs to happen. That's why we keep praising the regulation. It's hey, yes, do I think college players should be paid for their name, image, and likeness? Sure. But they are a student athlete at the end of the day. Student needs to come first.
We're the Avengers, not the Prevengers, right? Yeah. It's not athlete student, it's student athlete.
Okay, thank you. But no, that's literally
Elite
we're talking about literally an academic calendar. You see how we're trying to work around school? We're not talking about school anymore. We're just talking about players. If we just talk about athletes, then yeah, we can talk about trading them because they don't have to worry about an education anymore. So, but that's the whole thing with that too. Is it's okay, well, if I'm going to trade you, he is a bioengineering degree for your 5-star who's going for an art degree. There's there's a whole other tobacco we have to crack open a can for too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's something with GPAs. If you have too low of a GPA, you lose some of your salary cap.
Yeah, I'll give you my retard for.
Yeah.
For Fernando Mendoza. You probably have to bleep that.
No, I don't. Hey, we're not. Nobody controls what we say. That shit's flying. That's hilarious.
It was GPA.
This idiot keeps flunking. So how about you give you Fernando Mendoza?
You can't pass algebra.
Yeah.
It's high school algebra, not even college yet.
You're still in your basics. Yeah.
You're a senior that's 26.
You have 7 tutors.
Physics is a fun class.
You blow shit up. No one asks questions.
You're a communications degree major. What are you struggling with? Talking? Yeah, that's an interesting angle to look at because, yeah, man. Because how would you phrase that? And it's I'll acquire this contracted player. I'll take over the remainder of his contract and pay the difference back to the previous school. You can get into all that sort of stuff, and I think
accounting that would be a nightmare.
I think you throw.
That's what I was going to bring up a second ago.
I think you throw the whole trading thing out the window until we figure out the GPA part. Because y'all made a great point, student athlete, we're already ahead of the trading part. We got to figure out something with GPA before we can go to trading. Like,
True.
how does GPA even, account for anything? I know tons of guys, love them to death, played football with them for 4 years. They couldn't keep up with a 2.0 GPA.
So I'm holding my tongue.
And
Turner encouraged me. I was like,
and
I know. I
think once we figure out that GPA part, then we can move to the next step. Why the hell they took out the transfer portal consequent? No, I'm just kidding. But let's just figure out the GPA part first, and then we can go in the trading, because y'all kept saying student athlete, and then y'all were like, well, trade, and I was like, are we just missing the student part?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at earlier. It's just like, at the end of the day, like, a lot of these kids are not going to go to the draft in the NFL. That's like what we're going from a high school to college athletes, which is probably like what, maybe around like 5 to 10%, and then we're getting to like the NFL, which is like top 1%. So do you really think all these kids are going to go to the draft? No, they're going to try to make as much money as they can, and then obviously they need to be able to use that money for like, they're all going to be way more financially stable than I am. Shit, dude, if I could get $500,000 right now and just have it sit in my account, like,
yeah, you got to think an average player. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
dude,
he's
you
a
don't
middle
even have to be
linebacker, third string. His NIL deal was $125,000 for 3 years.
yeah,
You're
he
like,
was a 3-star that came out of Geyer, and he sat all 3 years, played maybe 4 games his senior year, but god damn it, we paid him his $125K, slept him on the ass on the way out, and I got $125K that I could literally just put towards my kid's tuition later down the line. Or put it with a down payment on the house, because that's something we're all struggling with as human beings.
I could retire in 12 years with $750K sitting in a Roth IRA.
Yeah, dude,
I think that
the financial investment.
And that's the problem, is they don't have any sort of financial advice from anyone.
Agreed.
Right. It should
And
be a
That
requirement.
needs to be GPA, financial advice, trading. I'll put it in that order right there. That's where they need to start.
You are automatically required to put 20% of your NIL deal in a 401k.
Beautiful.
I like the
and
way you
then
think.
they got to raise the GPA.
Protect
they got to
kids'
raise
future.
the GPA.
Well, yeah, it could be you need to have a certain GPA to transfer. That could be the contract.
That's a great one. Certain GPA to transfer,
Or
or
a certain
3.0.
GPA to get your
money.
yeah, exactly, to get
NIL
your
deal.
money.
get your money.
Yeah,
Yes.
you want
I think
your
that's a
$3
great
million? Okay, you need to make
Non-eligible
sure,
for money in freshman year.
you need to make sure you're passing all your classes per the NCAA requirement, which should be the 2.0.
You know what's crazy?
I think they need a raise, because that's absurd.
Well, you know what's crazier is name, image, and likeness isn't even why they're getting paid. Name, image, and likeness was supposed to be the derivation of like a Johnny Manziel. Like, the dude's got charisma, he makes content on the side or whatever, and like the jersey sells, the name, the image of Johnny, the name of Johnny, the image of Johnny football, and the likeness of the Heisman candidate.
Mm-hmm.
All of that poured into one. Jersey sales, merchandise, hats, commercials, Rowback, Under Armour, all this. That's what they're supposed to be getting paid off of. But that's not. They're just handing out money and calling it NIL. That's another big issue. So
Yeah, that's another crack freaking can of worms we can open down literally later down another podcast.
yeah.
But you're about to ask me about the accounting portion, Jared. I think you're
Yeah,
about to-
well, I figured it would be an absolute nightmare, even now, like just moving players around. Like this kid, let's say this one kid enters the transfer portal in January. Who does that go to in the university? I'm not saying that but I'm saying rhetorically, who does that go to? It's like, all right, this Alberto Mendoza transfers to Georgia Tech in January 20th today, and commits to the school, et cetera. And it's like, was that already in the works? Was it just announced on Twitter, but it was already predestined? How does the administrator or something like a university approve that? Is he even in classes? What's his GPA to be able to do that? How is he going to be implemented in classes when classes have already started? All those different things. I just feel like it's an absolute nightmare for these universities, but no one talks about the school side.
Yeah, I'll talk about the athletic side, but that's it, because all we're talking about is athletes.
Year-round.
Being a student is so much more fun than being an
Must be
athlete.
great.
No.
It's better than watching freaking baseball.
Turner doesn't have busy seasons. He's got busy years. That comes to the point.
You got busy decades.
That's why I do this shit for a living.
Yeah.
You said I wasn't scared.
You said I wasn't scared. And I was scared doing it.
I was scared doing it.
All right. Any closing remarks before we end the show, gentlemen?
No. I think what we touched. No, okay. I think what we talked about was really good. I think the theory crafting and how we can, make adjustments to the transfer portal. How do we fix the conference alignment to make sure all teams play each other? Do strength of schedule, does that matter? Do we need to talk about trade? Do we need to talk about contracts? Do we need to talk about making a union? Do we need to talk about, salary caps? There's a whole litany of stuff that we can go throughout this entire, in season 4. And I'm really excited for it because I just think that's when there's no football, we're going to be talking about football. And I think that's what everybody's going to want to enjoy.
Yeah, they're going to be talking to us like we're going to become student podcasters because I'm sharing a Google Doc and Excel sheet. We're all going to be working on it for the month of February.
I'm game.
I think that I think if you really want a beautiful multi-part series, that actually is kind of what's needed. It's like, hey, we're going to, we'll talk about it afterwards, but it's like we're going to delegate these different portions of problems within college football to each contributor, to which they formulate and have their own, opinion. And everybody has their own opinions on it, obviously, but that's how we do a quick fix. Essentially, it's like we got a Google Doc. Here's the main problems. Here's the information we're going to provide. Here's the Excel sheet with the conference realignment. Everybody puts their notes in and where they want to put different guys. We finalize the conference realignment, et cetera, et cetera. We go from there. Student podcasters. Blah, 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 blah.
Welcome to my master class.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Chad, any final comments, or did you were you saying something earlier?
No.
Okay, good. All right, well, thank you guys very much. I'm not sure if we're going to do another one for season 3. Maybe one more to just kind of after the national championship kind of brood over. We might do just one more episode and just talk a little bit of college football, and we might do some NFL episodes up until February, and then season 4, like we did last year, might be implemented officially in March. So that will be announced soon rather than later. And of course, every season has its perks and benefits. This year, we added on Turner and Chad as contributors. The year prior to that, we did Challenge the Script with, the college football 25 video game. So we got to bring guests on for that. We had a couple of guests, including these guys and, my best friend and my mom, of all people, with the unique story that she had. So this year we're hoping to get into some more vetted and validated former athletes and officials as guests, and maybe we can all go in there and interview them together. So a lot of fun things for season 4. We're excited. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you for 100 subscribers on YouTube. If you made it to this far in the episode and it's your first time listening, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. And I ask you to pay for anything. It just sends you notifications for new episodes. Follow us. Click the links in our bio for all the different socials. We're posting content weekly. And thank you very much. And I don't know what you guys are laughing at, but
it's just us being idiots. Don't worry about us.
Are you making
Click
faces?
this link right next to his face.
Yeah, click that one right there. There's that
right.
light. There's that light
right
there.
there. It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
It's right here. It's right there.
Show it. Show
All right.
it.
Right here.
It's right here.
It's right here.
Show it.
All right, we will see y'all when we see you. I'll be announcing that whenever we come back. So see y'all when we see y'all. It's been an excellent college football season. Turner and Chad, thank you guys. If we don't see you before season 4, thanks for joining. It's been a great time. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of you guys as we go through the summer. So take it easy, and we'll see y'all later.
You're...
Deuce.